In this video, let's take a look at ArcAir and some of the common error messages that you might see when you attach sensors and connect the sensors in ArcAir. So here I have some multiple sensors with yellow and red warning indicators. So let's take a look at some of these and see what's going on. So the first one I'm going to go to is this BusyFirm ECS. I'm going to click on that. And this is a very common error message that we see. We see this error message called ECS current regulation impossible. ECS external wiring is not correct. So what this is in reference to is if you have a sensor with an ECS power cable hooked up or powered with the sensor, and that cable is not connected to the bioreactor or the transmitter or whatever you're connecting it to, you get an error message like this. And that error message will go away once the cable is wired up. So the sensor is otherwise okay and it's measuring properly. You can see my oxygen reading up here. So another common error message with DO, if I look at my trace sensors, here's a VisiTrace MA, and I'll click into that to take a look at it. So the VisiTrace MA is for trace level oxygen measurements. And if I power up this sensor, when it's reading in standard air, there's a much higher oxygen content that can actually be read by the sensor. So I'll get this error message. DO reading is above the upper limit. It's also telling me my analog output is well above the 20 milliamp limit. And this simply means that the trace level sensor cannot measure at such high oxygen levels. So that's a common error message you see with the VisiTrace. Once you put it back into your process, which has low oxygen, it'll start reading correctly and go green. Here's another dissolved oxygen sensor I'll click into here. It's got a red indicator on it here. And this one is very simple. It says DO reading failure, and it tells me the sensor cap is missing. So these are common error messages. I have a failed sensor cap. If I've lost the sensor cap, what have you, I'll see a message something like this with the red indicator here. Here's a pH sensor. We'll click into that. And this pH sensor has an error message that says pH reading failure. Glass resistance is too high. So this occurs when I leave the sensor out in air. And in air, I cannot make a good connection between the diaphragm and the membrane glass. And so it'll give me this resistance measurement is too high. And if I take the sensor and clean it off, put it back into a liquid, hopefully this error message goes away. So the final one here is our conductivity sensor. And I'll click onto that. And I get a message saying that reading failure, resistance too high. This occurs when the conductivity sensor is out in air as well. If I put the conductivity sensor into liquid here, that should take this error message away. And there we go, it's turning green here, and this error message should go away in just a second here. So that corrects the problem by putting it back in the liquid. So, so common errors that you see using ArcAir, and this shows you some of the benefits of using ARC sensors to do diagnostics. Thanks a lot.